Hakadosh Boker Or Masechet Kiddushin Daf Elmaleh Amud Aleph 41a1. We're starting a new chapter. This is going to be Perek Sheni, the second chapter of Masechet Kiddushin, and the Mishnah says Ha'ish Mekadesh Bo Uvishlucho, which means a man can come and he could be Mekadesh on a woman, whether it's we're talking about with a kesef or bishtar, Bo, which means he himself, Ubishlucho, or with a shaliach. Haisha mitkadeshet, a woman could also receive her kiddushin, whether it's kesef or shtar, ba uvishlucha, whether it's her, then she receives the money, or her shaliach. Haish mikadeshet bito keshi ne'ara. A man can also be mikadesh's daughter when she's a na'ara, that means before bo geret. Bo uvishlucho, whether it's through him or through his shaliach. Says the Gemara, hashta bishlucho mekadesh. Now we're talking about Ishlucho Mekadesh Bo Mibai. If right now he could be Mekadesh through a Shaliach, whether it's going to be that a woman could be Mekadesh through a Shaliach, whether it's going to be anyone could be through a Shaliach, Bo Mibai. So he comes and he says, right? He comes and he says, do you have the, meaning if a person could receive the Kiddushin through a Shaliach, so obviously he could receive the Kiddushin through himself. So Amar of Yosef says of Yosef, Mitzvah Bo. It's coming to teach you that there's a mitzvah more in him, more than his shaliach. That's what it's coming. Meaning, the word bo was not really a chidush, because if you could receive a kiddushin through a shaliach, obviously you could receive it yourself. The word bo was teaching you that mitzvah bo yoter mibishlucho. There's more mitzvah that you do it than you do it through a shaliach. Just like Rav Safra used to be me'avhev the rosh be'ema with the fire, in order to prepare, right, to take off the hairs before the bishul, right? And therefore he comes and he says, right? And therefore he's fixing it for the Seudat Shabbat. Rava used to be malach shibuta. He used to come and he used to salt himself, the shibuta, which is a big fish, in order to prepare, which means even though these rabbis could have gotten shlichim to do all these things, it's a mitzvah that you do it. And since it's a mitzvah that you do it, so mitzvah bo yoter mi bishlucho. Says the Gemara, Ika de Amri, there are those that say, Beha, and this thing, which is Isha Mekadesh, Isura Nami Itzba. There's even a Tzada Vera, which means that if right now you're going to come and you're going to have a man getting married to a woman through a Shaliach, right? Not only is it not a Hidur Mitzvah, sometimes it's also even an Avera. This is why. The Amar of Yudam Rav says of Yudam Rav, Asula Adam Sheikadesh et Aisha ad Shirena. You're not allowed to marry a woman unless you see her. Because maybe you're going to afterwards, you're going to see something and you're not going to like it, and then you're going to hate her. And then Rahman Amar, the Torah says, you have to love your friend like yourself, which means, right, right, that the fact that that if he's not going to find chen beinav, so then he's going to start arguing and doing it. So therefore, what happens? He comes and he says that it's going to be prohibited. Okay. So he says, "V'chi itmar de Rav Yosef." Now, when were these words of Rav Yosef actually mentioned? A seifa itmar, on the seifa. Haisha mitkadeshet bah uvishlucha. A woman is going to be mitkadeshet, whether through herself or through her shaliach. Hashta bishlucha mekacha. If she can get married through a shaliach, bami bay, is there a chidush to say that she can get married through herself? Rav Yosef says, "Mitzvah ba yotem mishlucha." The same halacha. Just like there's a mitzvah bo yoter mishlucho, there's a mitzvah that he should get married, he should do the kiddushin and not to his shaliach. So too, there's a mitzvah for her and not through her shaliach. Just like Rav Safra used to come, and he used to come and put the fire on the head of the animal in order to fix it for Sudat Shabbat, to take off the hairs. And Rava used to malach shibuta, but in this case, Isura, there's no Isur. Shakish, Tama Shakish says Shakish, Tav lemeitav tandu, milemetav armelu. What does that mean? It says the way of the women is that it's better to be with two bodies together than to be an almanah, which means a woman would prefer to be married with any husband, doesn't matter what it is, as long as she's not alone. Meaning a woman doesn't want to be alone. So it doesn't matter what husband you're going to bring her, she'll want to get married. Why? At least she's not alone. And this is a musara skill. It's something incredible. But sometimes you come and you see a woman, she'll come, she'll get married, and you're like, Iwa, what's she doing? And the answer is, she doesn't want to be alone. So it doesn't matter who you're going to give her. You could give her whatever you want. And she'll come and she'll accept it. Why? She doesn't want to be alone. Haish mekadesh et bito keshidara. We just said that a man could be Mekadesh's daughter when she's a Nara. Keshehi Nara in, only when she's going to be a Nara, Keshi Ktana lo. But obviously, if she's a Ktana, no, he's not allowed to. Masele Rav. So this comes to bring a proof to Rav. The Amar Rav Yudam Rav says, Rav, and some people say, Sabi Lazar, Asul Adam Shekadesh Bito Keshi Ktana. You're not allowed to get your daughter married when she's a Ktana. Ad shetigdal v'tomar, until she grows older and she says, Biploni ani rotza. I want to get married to so and so. Okay, nekuda. Okay. Next, shlichut min alan. How do we know that bichlal shlichut helps? Meaning, how do we know that you're able to do shlichut in the Torah? A person comes to us and says, I'm going to make a shliach to come to get married. How do you know that works? So says the Gemara, the Tanya, as we learned in the Braita, the shilach. We're talking about melamed, right? It says v'shilicha mi beto, right? So he says over here, he comes and he says like this. He says, right, melamed shehu osa shaliach. What does that mean? It's teaching that he's going to do a shaliach. V'shilecha. What does it mean? V'shilecha with an extra hey. Melamed shehi osa shaliach. So when it says v'shilach, right? So that comes and teaches you that he can make a shaliach. When it says v'shilecha, so she could also make a shaliach. V'shilach v'shilecha. Why does it say again v'shilach and then v'shilecha? So he comes and he says melamed shaliach osa shaliach. So even a shliach can make another shliach. And therefore here you learn all the different, right, halachot of a shaliach making another shaliach. Ashkechan begerushin. This is talking about by gerushin. By kiddushin menalan. Right, by kiddushin. Because remember, this pasuk was only talking about the concept of shlichim by kiddushin. How do you know that it helps also by kiddushin? Maybe you're going to say, listen, you just learn it from kiddushin. He says, no, but 1 second. Kiddushin could be done against somebody's will. And therefore, there's meaning a husband could divorce his wife against her will. Right? And therefore, that's why it helps a concept of shlichut. But maybe by kiddushin it doesn't help. Because there you need the person's will. So Amarka, the pasuk says, "V'yatzeh v'ayita." There's a kesh, makish, havaya letziyah. Ma yetziyah mashve shliach, af havaya mashve shliach. He says, there's a kesh that just like the yetziyah you can make a shliach, and that's what to mifurash by gerushin. So too by havaya, which is a kiddushin, you could also make a shaliach as well. But that which we learned in Mishnah and Trumot. How many shlucho? Imagine somebody's going to tell a shaliach, Sre torem, go out and meet torem, right? A truma from my tevel, and he didn't come tell him how much. Torem kedab balabait. So you have to do it like what he knows the balabait. Meaning, there's the balabait. Is he a stingy person? Is he a large person? What if he doesn't know the balabait? So torem benonit. So he doesn't benonit. It's going to be 1/50th of the kri. Okay, 1/50th of the pile. Okay, that's obviously here we're talking about truma gdula. Yeah, so he comes and he says, Pichet, right? If right now he gave less, right? That means, what does that mean? He gave 10% or whatever it is, right? More than the ragil, right? That means he did 1/40th, let's say, instead of 1/50th. Or hosif, or he put more, which means hosif asara, which means that he did 1/60th instead of, right? Instead of the 1/50th. Trumato truma. The truma is still going to be a truma, because since the Balabai didn't tell him exactly how much to put, so therefore it's still going to be okay as long as it was within the 10 of what he did. So one more time, the truma gdola is 1/50th, but now he wasn't sure. So even if he gave 1/40th, right, which is 10 less, or 1/60th, it's still going to be okay. Minalan, how do we know? Right? If you're going to tell me now that you learn it from Girushin, Male Girushin ken yeshnam bechol. He says, 1 second, Girushin is something of chulin. Truma is something of kodesh. So therefore, you're not going to learn kodshim from chulin. You can't learn the two together. So Amarka, the pasuk comes and it says, Atem, right? Gamatem. What does it mean, Atem, Gamatem? The rabot at shaliach, to include the shliach, but the shliach could also be mafrish trumot for the meshaliach. So that means this Atem, Gamatem, Kentarimu to Gamatem, teaches you that a shaliach could separate trumot. So ask the Gemara, v'nichtov rachmana. So why doesn't the Torah come and teach you, right? B'truma, v'neitu hanach v'nigber. And then we learn girushin and kiddushin from truma. So answers the Gemara, Mishum deika lemifrach, because you could ask, sheken yeshnam b'machshava. He says you could push off the binyanav because truma, right? You could separate it even b'machshava. That means that if you put you in your mind already, that's already going to become truma as well, which you can't do that by girushin and by it can't be done in the mind. It has to be done. You have to actually come physically and actually do it. Okay, so you come and he says, now there's another place where it's going to help us shlichut as well. Where's the other place? We had itznan, that which we learned in a mishnah. This mishnah is in Psachim. Chabura shava pischa. What happens right now? Right, if it would be right now, chabura that was lost the Pesach, right? What does that mean? There was a kvutza, they came together, a group, and they wanted to be mikayim the korban Pesach, and all of a sudden it got lost. The amru, so they went and they said lechad tseu vakesh, go and look for another, go look for the animal, shchot alenu, and go do the shchitat Pesach for us. The alachu matzav v'shachat. He found it, and he did shchitat. Hen lachu. Right, and then they come and they already took another animal, v'shachtu, and they did it. Im shelo nishchat rishon, if the behemah that he found, the shliach, was found first, hu ochel mishelo, so the shliach is going to eat his, and vehem ochlim, right, imo, and they're obligated to eat it with him from that animal, because since it was also done for them, right, meaning before they went and they got another one, so they cannot make another korban pesach. Menalan, how do we know? Because here at the end of the day, there was a shlichut, and the shlichut helped. So how do you know the shlichut helps the gabe korban pesach? You're going to tell me that you learn it from girushin and kiddushin and truma. He says, 1 second. Even truma, it has kedusha, but it's still considered chulin biyachas to a korban. Meaning, you remember that the kodshin is the highest level. Then it becomes truma. So even truma biyachas the kodshin is like chulin. You're right, it's kodesh, it's truma, but it's like chulin. So he comes and he says, so nafkalei, he learns it from Yeshua ben Kulcha. Adam Yeshua ben Kulcha, midan shulcho shel gadan kmoto. How do we know shulcho shel gadan kmoto? Shneimar b'tzez of korban pesach v'shachtu oto kol kal Yisrael ben arbaim. V'chi kol hakal kulan shochtim. Every single person in Israel come and they do the shchita. V'alo eno shochet el echad. It's only one person that is a shochet from the chabura. Ela mikan sheshlucho shel adam kemoto. But rather, from here we learn that shlucho shel adam komoto, that a shliach of a human being is like him. So says the Gemara, okay, fine. So nichtov rachmana bekodshim, beneti hanach v'nikmina mina. So why don't we bring it down by kodshim and learn everything from kodshim? Yeah, learn kiddushin, truma, learn everything from kodshim. So ask the Gemara, mishum diikal mifrach ma lekodshim sheken rov ma'asena li shliach. He says, 1 second. Kodshim, the majority is done through a shliach. Meaning you're going to come and you're going to bring a korban, right? Everything is done through shlichut. The kohen comes and he does it, and this one, everything's shlichut. So therefore, if everything's shlichut, I can't learn from kodshim to everything else. So says the Gemara, okay, fine. Chada mechada lo atya. So I can't learn one from one. But teti mechada, right? Teti chada mitarte. But learn one from two, meaning make a tzada shaveh shabehem, right? That it should be already okay because you already have 3 mekorot, right? You have the kodshim, then you have the truma, and then you have the girushin and kiddushin. So just learn one from 2. So says the Gemara, which one you learn it from? Hey teti. Lo nichtav rachmana kodshim teti manach. If you're not going to write down kodshim and learn it from the other ones, malalach sheken shenochol. It's a kodshim. So you can't compare kodshim to everything else. So you can't do that. Lo nichtav rachmana v'girushin. If you're not going to write it in girushin teti manach, you're going to learn it from truma and shchitat kodshim. Malahana mishken yashem machshava. These 2, which is truma and kodshim, could be done by machshava, not by girushin. Ella but rather lo nichtav rachmana v'truma. Don't write about truma. And learn the tzada shaveh from girushin and kodshim. The teti manach. So says the Gemara, hachanami ve'ela atem gam atem namli. So okay, maybe I could have done that. So then why does it say atem gam atem by truma? Why does it say that then? So Rabbi Yanai, he says, no, I need this pasuk of atem gam atem for Rabbi Yanai. Because Rabbi Yanai comes in when he says gam atem ma atem b'nei brit, just like it has to be people that are mehulim brit milah and mitzvot, av shluchachem b'nei brit, which means a shaliach has to be a person which is a ben brit, and a person that's doing mitzvot. There has to be mahul. He has to be a person that's a Jewish person and everything. So says the Gemara, halama likra. Why do we need a pasuk then? So he says, right? He says, from Rabbi Chia we learned that. Rabbi Chia bar Abba Rabbi Yochanan afka. Rabbi Chia bar Abba Rabbi Yochanan. En ha'eved na'aseh shliach lekabel get miyad ba'ala shel isha lefi she'eno b'torah getiv girushin. Says an eved can never be a shliach to be receiving a get. You know why? Because since he doesn't have the halachot of gitin v'kiddushin, so therefore he cannot participate in it. Because he's not commanded, he has nothing to do with it. It's like it's not his parasha. So that's why an Eved can do it. So if an Eved can do it, so obviously that's it, Gamarnu. So answers the Gemara, Itzrich, I still needed it. Sal kadait rechamina, I would have thought to say Eved delav lo heter klal because there's no heter at all. Aval oveto but a goy. Hoil vite v'tumah denafshei, he can give trumot. Yeah, the Trump is learned to the Mishnah. How veko chovim akuti shetarmu tumaton truma. They're going to come and give a truma. It's a good truma. So I would have thought to say Ema shaliach nam yavid. He could also be a shaliach also to separate trumot. Kamash malan when it says gamatem, that it has to be a Jew, which is mahul v'nei mitzvot, in order to come and in order to separate, right, the trumot. Okay.
Okay.
Rabbi Shimon, and according to Rabbi Shimon, that he says that it's going to be patur, which means that a zar that comes and he eats trumat oved kochavim is going to be patur from paying the additional fifth. It's numbers. It says in the Mishnah, trumat oved kochavim medamaat, right? Is going to prohibit the tar of it. The chayavin alei chomesh, and it's going to come and it's going to be chayav to pay a chomesh. Okay, but Rabbi Shimon poter, and Rabbi Shimon says it's patur. That's why we just brought at the beginning. Rabbi Shimon the patar. So Shimon says that if you're going to eat it, you're going to be, that means meaning like this. Usually when a person comes and he eats truma, obviously if it was on purpose, he's chayam mitam min hashamayim, right? But if he's done it by accidentally, so he has to pay back the kerem v'chomesh. Chomesh is an extra additional fifth. But comes Rabbi Shimon and he says that if you're going to eat it from a trumat of vedel kochavim, that he came and he separated it, you're going to be patur from the additional fifth. So he says, atem gam atem lamali. So why do you need the pasuk, atem gam atem? We wanted to use atem gam atem, not only lirabot shaliach, because we already said that we already know that a shliach can be done, but rather we said atem gam atem comes to teach you that even if a goy does it, and it doesn't have to be b'nei brit, right? Meulim v'chule v'chule. So he says itzich, you still need it. I would have thought say hol ve'amar but more says atem ve'lo arisin, right? You guys ken tanimu gam atem and not an aris, meaning an aris cannot come and be torem the chelek of the Baal Bayit shelo midato. An aris is a sharecropper that he used to come and work in your field, and then instead of getting paid like per hour, he used to get paid with the produce of the actual field in itself, right? Right of the produce. That's what it is. The produce of the actual field. So atem velo shutafin, also atem and not shutafin, meaning a shutaf cannot separate on your behalf, a partner. Atem velo potubus, also you guys have to do it, and not an apotubus, that he's like a person that's in charge of your properties. He cannot do it. Atem. Or something that's not doing it. So that means if I'm going to go to you on your property and separate it for you, it doesn't work because it's shelo midatcha, right? So ema, I would have thought to say atem lo shulchem nami. I would have thought to say that atem also means atem and not shulchem, because I already just told you atem and not your sharecroppers, atem and not your partners, atem and not your apotropos, right? Which is the one that's in charge of the properties, and right, and so also not a Torah shelo.
It has nothing to do with stealing of the mind.
No. But they're doing it. They're doing it. They're doing it in order to help it out. So therefore, he's coming and saying. So he's coming and he's saying. So I would have thought to say that a tem and not a shaliach, meaning a shaliach cannot do it as well. Kamashmanan comes teach you that also they're not. They're really be'emet gamatem that also a shaliach could come and he could separate for a balabai. Because I would have thought to say, listen, if I'm already excluding all these people as well, so maybe he's keilu acting on my behalf. So he comes and he says no. He says, no, the shliach is allowed to, because he is acting on my behalf, right? Even though it's going to be a completely separate, different person. So says the Gemara, this is going to contradict Rabbi Yoshua that he learned shlichut bekorbanot from this pasuk, from Kentarim Gamatem. But according to Rabbi Yonatan, he says that he's going to learn it from a different drasha. How do you know then that it helps? By shchitat kochim. How do you know that shlichut helps? By whether it's going to be shchitat kochim. So he says, the Tanya was learned to the right of Yonatan Omer, Minayin shekol Yisrael v'kulam yotzim. How do we know that all Bnei Yisrael are going to be being in Tzil Chuvah with a Karvat Pesach, the Pesach Echad? Meaning you could have one Korban Pesach for all of Israel. How do we know that? Shneimar says in the pasuk Membet Amud Aleph, v'shachatu oto kol kal adat Yisrael ben arbaim. V'chi kol ha'ka'al kulam shochatim. So everybody does shchita. It's only one person does shchita. Ela mikan shekol Yisrael yotzim Pesach Echad. Right, so from here we learned that the entire Yisrael are going to be Tzil Chuvah with one Pesach. So therefore, shliach bekodshim minale. So how do you know you could do shliach bekodshim mineh from the pasuk in itself? Which means even according to Rabbi Yonatan, the Yikara pasuk is come to teach you that all Bnei Yisrael are going to be Tzil Chuvah bekorban Pesach echad. Nevertheless, it was only one person is going to be doing the shechita. So you see from here that the shlichut actually comes and helps. Okay,